Hey beautiful Leo soul, if you're hearing this right now, let me tell you something with complete clarity. A massive energetic shift is unfolding between June 28th and 30th, and it's going to change your life in ways you never imagined. And yes, it's starting now. Do you feel it? That invisible tremor moving under the surface? Like you're standing in the golden hour, right between a sunset that's closing out a long, hard chapter and a sunrise filled with possibility, but you're still holding your breath, not quite sure what's coming. I want you to know, it's not a coincidence that you're here. It never is. You were pulled to this message for a reason, because your soul is ready. Ready to receive, ready to realign, ready to rise. Over the next few days, the universe is opening a rare and powerful portal just for you. Not for the person you've been trying to be, not for the version of you who had to keep it together for everyone else, but for you, Leo. The bold one. The bright one. The wild-hearted, world-shaking you who knows deep down that life is about to flip. This message isn't just a horoscope. It's a mirror. A sacred space where I'll walk with you through what's coming and help you understand how to align with it, because this shift isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to awaken you. And if you're still watching, I know you've felt it building. A subtle restlessness. A whisper that things can't stay the same. That something deeper, more honest, and more aligned is asking for your attention. So I'll ask you this, dear Leo, what brought you here today? Was it a sense of urgency? A moment of silence that hit different? Was it the sense that you're standing on the edge of a personal breakthrough? If so, don't ignore it. Drop a comment below and write, I am ready for the shift, not for me, but for you. Because when you speak your readiness out loud, even in a comment section, the universe listens. And so do others who might be walking this same strange, beautiful path beside you. This isn't just astrology, this is alignment. Let me also take a moment to say something from the heart. Thank you. Truly. For being here. For bringing your energy, your time, and your intention to eternal mindfulness. Every like, every comment, every subscription, it means more than words can ever express. You're helping to grow a space where souls like yours feel seen, held, and deeply connected. And trust me, you will want to stay until the very end of this reading, because what the universe is revealing to you right now, it's breathtaking. So take a deep breath, Leo. Center yourself. And get ready, because what's coming next? It's not just change. It's transformation. And it's already begun. The energy that's surrounding you now, Leo, is not loud. It doesn't roar like the lion you're often known to be. Instead, it hums quietly beneath the surface, like a current gently shifting the foundation of everything you've been standing on. This shift may feel subtle at first, a change in the way you respond to people, a new craving for simplicity, or a desire to walk away from what once defined you. But beneath those soft signals lies a powerful truth. Your internal compass is recalibrating. You're not just reacting to life anymore. You're beginning to consciously align with it. From June 28th to 30th, a rare alignment forms in your chart. Uranus, the planet of sudden awakening and liberation, is forming a harmonious trine to your ruling light, the Sun. This connection is like a breath of fresh air blowing through your house of identity. It doesn't ask you to reinvent yourself through chaos, but rather to return to who you were before the world told you who to be. There's a kind of quiet revolution taking place within you. One that starts not with external declarations, but with inner permission, the permission to change direction without explanation, to want new things, to shed the skin of outdated ambition. Alongside this, the moon transiting through Sagittarius brings in a burst of fiery curiosity. Sagittarius is a seeker. It doesn't just ask questions, it lives in them. And this lunar influence is amplifying your urge to grow beyond what's comfortable. You may feel drawn to explore unfamiliar ideas, people, or paths. Not because you're lost, but because you're expanding. Just like a flame doesn't stay contained in one place, your spirit is meant to stretch. But the truth is, expansion always requires a release. You cannot grow if you are still clinging to a life that no longer resonates. The numerology of this window offers even deeper layers to contemplate. The numbers 1, 8, and 10 dance in this energy like sacred steps in a cycle. 1 speaks to new beginnings not just externally, but internally. It's the number of I am of awakening personal will. 8 is the number of power and self-mastery, reminding you that this shift isn't just about change, but about reclaiming the authority to shape your life. And 10, often misunderstood, is not simply an ending. It is the full circle. The seed that dies in one form so it can become something entirely new. Together, these numbers are inviting you to step into a timeline where you stop striving to keep up and start trusting the rhythm that's already unfolding. In quieter traditions, this process is understood not as a decision of the mind but a loosening of grasp. When we stop trying to force outcomes and instead sit with what is, we open the door for transformation. This is not passivity. This is presence. Just as the lotus doesn't chase the sun but rises each day because it knows the light is coming, you're being asked now to stop grasping for certainty and begin creating space for what's trying to reach you. And that's where your next step comes in. Take just 15 minutes in silence. Not to figure it all out, but to meet yourself as you are now, no roles, no pressure. Envision the version of you that isn't striving, but choosing. Write down a single sentence that affirms your openness. I am ready for whatever is meant for me, even if I don't know what it is yet. Not knowing is not weakness, it's honesty. And honesty, in its purest form, is strength. Let that sentence be your anchor as the shift takes shape. The ground may be moving, but you are steady in your center. There comes a moment in every journey when the weight we've been carrying is no longer a symbol of strength, but a signal that it's time to release. And for you, Leo, that moment is now. You've worn many crowns, the one who leads, who uplifts, who protects. But what happens when the very image of being the strong one becomes a cage? The truth is, even the brightest flame dims when it's overfed by expectation and undernourished by rest. You don't need to burn at both ends to prove your light. In fact, you're being invited to protect that flame not for others, but for yourself. The 10 of Wands, the card that speaks through this moment, shows a figure hunched over, carrying more than what was ever theirs alone. It's a reflection of what happens when we mistake duty for identity. How often have you held on to responsibilities, roles, or even relationships simply because you believed you had to? Because letting go felt like failure? But what if release is not defeat? What if it's a quiet act of courage? To put down what is heavy does not mean you are giving up. It means you are making space. In quiet traditions of wisdom, we're reminded again and again that suffering is not caused by the burden itself, but by our resistance to letting it go. That which we hold too tightly begins to hold us. And often, it's not the big things, but the small, daily patterns, the conversations we avoid, the roles we perform, the habits we protect that slowly accumulate into emotional weight. They settle into our bodies, our posture, our breath. And Leo, your body speaks the truth even when your words stay silent. The tension in your shoulders, the tightness in your chest, these are the echoes of everything you've been holding together for too long. This is why you're being asked now to make your release intentional. Not dramatic. Not forced. Simply honest. Begin by writing down 3 things you've been carrying out of obligation or image. Ask yourself, if no one were watching, would I still choose this? Then listen gently to what arises. This practice isn't about immediate action, it's about clarity. And from clarity, the next step will come with ease. As your physical body mirrors your emotional one, movement becomes medicine. A 20-minute walk, especially outdoors, where your feet reconnect with the earth, can be a form of unwinding. Each step is a soft reminder that you are not stuck. The air you breathe, the rhythm of your pace, the loosening of your chest, they all become small acts of healing. You don't have to run to prove you're moving forward. Even stillness, when chosen with presence, is a form of momentum. To support your energy, lean into practices that cool and calm the system. Avoiding spicy foods or excess caffeine is not about restriction, but about creating a more harmonious internal environment. Opt for gentle nourishment, coconut water, calming teas like chamomile, fresh fruits that hydrate and balance. Think of your body as a temple you don't need to decorate, but one you're learning to listen to again. Let go, not because you're tired, but because you finally realize you don't have to prove anything. Let go, because there is a deeper version of you waiting to emerge, one who leads not from pressure, but from peace. The world will adjust when you do. And in that small act of release, you will remember something you forgot in all the striving. Your worth has never depended on how much you carry, but on how truly you shine when you finally give yourself space to breathe. Opportunity doesn't always knock. Sometimes it arrives as a whisper, or a ripple that disturbs the stillness you thought you had mastered. Leo, you are entering a brief but potent window where sudden changes in your professional and financial life may feel both unexpected and eerily timed. But nothing is random. What feels like a surprise is often the delayed response to seeds you planted long ago, not with your hands, but with your intentions. The Judgment card echoes here with startling clarity. This is a moment of reckoning, but not in the punishing sense. Rather, it's a cosmic acknowledgement of what you've endured, what you've built, and what you've silently dreamed of, even when no one else seemed to notice. There may be a conversation or an offer arriving that seems out of the blue. A door that once closed may quietly creak open. A person who previously overlooked your value may suddenly return with a new perspective, not because they've changed entirely, but because you have. The energy surrounding you now isn't about chasing. It's about magnetizing. And this requires one subtle, yet transformative shift. Instead of striving to prove yourself, begin to embody the truth that you are already enough. You are not being asked to force anything into place. In fact, the more tightly you grip, the more resistance you'll feel. What's needed is a shift in focus, not from effort to laziness, but from control to presence. Align your actions not with outcomes, but with sensations. Ask yourself daily, does this feel like peace? Does this move me closer to the version of myself that breathes freely? When you begin to operate from that inner resonance, the law of attraction doesn't just work, it responds. Life doesn't reward neediness, it reflects clarity. During this 3-day portal, clarity is your compass. Rather than obsessing over a goal, allow yourself to fall in love with the feeling of alignment. What would it feel like to wake up excited, not pressured? To receive an email that shifts your trajectory? To step into a role where your gifts are no longer too much, but perfectly placed? Write that feeling into words. One powerful affirmation for this time is, I am worthy of extraordinary opportunities, and they are already finding their way to me. Say it not like a spell, but like a remembering. Support this shift with color not as superstition, but as vibration. Amber, golden orange, and lotus purple are colors that harmonize with the Leo field right now. They don't just brighten your appearance, they anchor your intention. Whether you wear them, visualize them, or place them in your space, these hues signal that you are open to visibility, recognition, and joy not from ego, but from grounded self-knowing. In quieter wisdom traditions, it is taught that the right action arises not from fear of missing out, but from pausing long enough to recognize the invitation. Not every movement is progress. And not every stillness is stagnation. When we learn to let things come without force, we discover something more reliable than control, trust. Not blind faith, but the kind of trust that grows from deep observation, the understanding that your outer world always mirrors the quality of your inner state. When you bring that level of awareness into your work and finances, you no longer feel like you're scrambling to find the path. You realize you're already standing on it. And Leo, you are. The ground beneath you is shifting, yes, but only to reveal what's been waiting to emerge. A role. A chance. A recognition. You don't need to go out and hunt it down. You simply need to meet it halfway. Show up, present, available, and open. Let life meet your readiness with the abundance that was always yours to claim. Love, when it is real, does not demand you to shrink or burn yourself out to keep it alive. It doesn't come with conditions disguised as passion, or chaos labeled as intensity. In this phase, Leo, your heart is standing at a quiet crossroads. One path may feel electric, even familiar, the kind of connection that once made your blood race and your thoughts spin, leaving you breathless but drained. The other path may be softer, quieter. It might not come with fireworks, but it carries a peace that lingers after the conversation ends. It's not just about how someone enters your life, it's how your body responds when they leave the room. Do you feel whole, or do you feel smaller? The energy surrounding you now, influenced by the Lovers and the Four of Wands, is not asking you to decide between two people. It is asking you to decide between two versions of yourself. The one who keeps choosing patterns that deplete them, and the one who has finally learned to choose presence, peace, and reciprocity. Love is not meant to be a performance. It's not meant to be earned. The most sacred relationships are those where you don't have to try so hard to be understood, because who you are, as you are, is already enough. Often, we confuse chemistry with destiny. The heat, the spark, the dramatic tension, they feel like signs. But not every fire is meant to be followed. Some fires are warnings. Some burn because they've never been grounded. In quiet observation, it becomes clear, what we call intensity is often the echo of our own unmet needs. And when we don't tend to those needs ourselves, we attract them in others not to be fulfilled, but to be seen. Seen so we can finally realize what we've been projecting. This is why now is a time for reflection, not reaction. In stillness, you can hear the truth. Ask yourself gently, does this person make me feel more like myself, or do I feel like I'm performing? Do I feel safe to share silence with them, or am I always trying to fill the space? A journal prompt for your evenings might be simple, but revealing. How do I feel in my body after I think about or interact with this person? The body doesn't lie. It stores every unresolved moment, every anxious goodbye, every unmet longing. And yet, it also recognizes harmony. It relaxes around truth. You'll know not in your mind, but in your breath. Love that is grounded is not always exciting in the way we've been conditioned to believe. But it is nourishing. It's the feeling of exhaling fully for the first time in months. It's being able to speak and be met with presence, not performance. It's waking up knowing you are cared for, not waking up wondering if you are enough. The Four of Wands speaks to this, the kind of partnership that feels like a home. Not a structure made of fantasy, but a space built on rhythm, rest, and joy that grows slowly, deeply, and honestly. There is a teaching that says, when your heart is still, your eyes see clearly. You do not have to chase what is right for you. You do not have to rehearse, prove, or convince. All that is truly meant for you will recognize you not for your perfection, but for your presence. This is your invitation now. Not to choose based on fear of being alone, but to choose based on whether that connection allows you to stay with yourself. Because the most important love story is not the one that sparks the brightest. It's the one where you finally stop abandoning who you are to be loved and instead, begin loving the version of you who no longer needs to run. The body is not just flesh and function, it is memory, story, and compass. It carries what the mind forgets and what the heart is too tender to hold for long. For Leo, whose sign rules the heart and the upper spine, this truth is especially pronounced. When tension builds in your chest, when your shoulders tighten without explanation, or when your voice seems to dim in volume or confidence, these are not random sensations. They are signals. Quiet messages from the deeper parts of you, the parts that have been carrying effort, emotion, and expectation far longer than they were ever meant to. Right now, you're being called to listen, not just inwardly, but physically. The body keeps score, not to punish, but to reveal. And when something inside you is misaligned, a truth avoided, a boundary ignored, a longing denied, it shows up as friction. Perhaps it's the shallow breath you've grown used to, or the invisible weight you carry across your upper back. Maybe it's a pressure in your chest that only appears when you feel like you're performing rather than expressing. Whatever it isn't your enemy. It's your ally, pointing you back to where attention is needed. This is why presence matters more than performance. Not every ache needs a fix, and not every discomfort is something to push through. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is pause, place your hand gently over your heart, and ask, what am I holding here? You don't need the answer right away. What matters is the asking. The act of bringing awareness to sensation is itself a healing. Like sunlight on a wound, it begins softening what has been bracing for too long. There is a quiet practice that invites you each morning to enter your heart space. Not just the physical center, but the emotional landscape that lives there. Sit, breathe, and gently observe what rises. You are not here to fix or judge, only to witness. Over time, you may notice how forgiveness begins to move, almost imperceptibly, through the edges of your chest. And maybe, in that stillness, a single sentence might surface, one that holds immense power in its softness. I forgive myself for the times I chose what didn't serve me, just because I was afraid to be alone. This level of awareness often opens the door to something deeper, not just personal healing, but relational clarity. You may find that during this window, someone from your family or inner circle reaches out in a way that surprises you. There may be an opportunity for reconciliation, not forced, but naturally timed. If it feels right, receive it with openness. But remain clear on your boundaries. You are allowed to honor connection while also honoring your capacity. Compassion does not require you to overextend. True acceptance always includes yourself. Healing is rarely dramatic. It is quiet. It happens in the pause between thoughts, in the breath you didn't know you were holding, in the choice to respond rather than react. The wisdom of stillness teaches us that we don't need to chase clarity. We just need to stop long enough for it to find us. Like a still lake reflects the sky perfectly, your body, when undisturbed by performance or pressure, reflects the truth of what you need next. So listen, not for grand answers, but for the small, tender cues. The breath that deepens after letting something go. The warmth that returns to your chest when you choose rest instead of resistance. Your body is not lagging behind your spiritual journey, it is your journey. It's not asking for perfection. It's asking for attention. And in giving it that, you offer yourself something rare and sacred, the space to simply be. Leo, if you've made it to this moment, then I want you to pause, really pause, and feel what's beginning to shift inside you. This hasn't just been a horoscope, it's been a mirror. A gentle unfolding of truths you already knew but maybe hadn't yet put into words. You've just walked through 5 essential gateways, each one revealing a different layer of your own power. From sensing the waves of cosmic energy knocking at your door, to finally putting down the burdens you no longer need to carry. From opening your hands to receive the career breakthrough you thought had passed you by, to choosing love that doesn't burn you up, but lets you breathe. And perhaps most importantly, to realizing that your body has been speaking to you all along, waiting for you to slow down enough to listen. Now the real question is, what will you do with everything you've remembered today? Will you continue to give away your fire just to be seen, or will you return that flame to yourself and burn with quiet, steady purpose? Will you keep reaching for what depletes you, or will you finally choose what nourishes you even if it feels unfamiliar at first? When someone asks you what you truly want next, will you answer from habit or from clarity? Because this is the turning point, Leo. Not a dramatic transformation that demands you to do more or be more, but a return to the knowing that you already are. You already carry the wisdom. You already have the map. But only you can take the step. Only you can decide that from this moment forward, your life will not be shaped by fear, or by performance, or by waiting for others to choose you, but by your choice to choose yourself. So here is your invitation, and your call to action. Take what you've learned in this video, and practice it. Don't let it stay as inspiration. Let it become integration. Set aside the 15 minutes of quiet each morning to feel where you're heading. Name what needs to be released. Walk, breathe, rest, write, forgive, not to fix yourself, but to free yourself. And if your heart is whispering yes, if you know you're ready, write it in the comments. Let the world know what your soul has already decided. Say it with love, say it for you. I choose myself. When you write that, it's not just words. It's a declaration. And it might just be the most powerful decision you've made all year. Thank you deeply, truly, for sharing this space with me today. Every like, every comment, every subscription to this channel helps us keep this light alive. It helps eternal mindfulness grow into a sanctuary where people like you, who are walking a path of clarity and courage, can return to remember who they are. Your presence here isn't just seen, it's cherished. So if this video spoke to you, let it be the beginning, not the end. Stay with us. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this message with someone who might need to hear it. And most importantly, carry this energy with you, not for a moment, but into every step that follows. Because Leo, you were never meant to follow the path. You were always meant to light it.